Yo, what's up, guys? Did change a little bit of recording settings, so it might be a little bit different. Hopefully it's not, but let's just see. A question I've not necessarily been getting, but a lot of people have been talking about, which is which server to join. So currently, the game is already downloadable. Do download the game already. It's just on the official website. You can't go in yet until tomorrow, European time, noon. But you can already see that the servers are there, similar as the servers in the beta. And then the big question is which server to join, because I do see a lot of people, even if they live in Europe, say go global. And the thing is, that is actually might be a bigger mistake than you think. And I come from Summoners War, and in Summoners War, you do have a lot of reset timers. Reset timers for arena, reset timers for your guild, reset timers for your daily content. The whole bunch of reset timers there are. And the main thing is your arena reset, which is like the, I think in this game it's called the Etheria arena, which is the one you see here on the screen on the left. That is your normal arena, which is only server bound. Summit arena is going to be server bound until like 2 weeks in, because they simply did not want to have the thing where some people have like the day reset and therefore have more gear and that kind of stuff. So the first 2 weeks, that's actually going to be split up as well. My opinion, could have been a week, but definitely fine. And then Fearless Arena, which is only in the weekend. Well, for Fearless Arena, it actually does count as well. Because then the big thing is like, when do things happen? When do things reset? When do things start? When do things end? And I think Fearless Arenas may be still like global wide, where it doesn't matter as much and it's all same regardless. But in the case of your normal arena, this thing was actually sent at a 6:45 p.m. It does say it's closing at a 6:14. So that means it does reset at 1 a.m. And then I would say EU time, I mostly, well, EU time, like Germany, Netherlands, like the main European countries' time. I would say that kind of stuff as like EU time. So 1 a.m. EU time, and then it would be like midnight at UK time. But what if I live in Europe and I would go to the global server? And this one is a little bit hard to read, but it was sent at about the same time, but it was showing 12 hours. So 12 hours is, of course, a little bit more than the 6 hours that is showing over here. So that makes it a 7 a.m. reset. Is maybe not that big of an issue. Like people would say, it's like, oh, I can play at 7 a.m. Well, the thing is, most of the time, at least coming from Summoners War Sky Arena, we play like the last hour and we call that like a rush hour. So rush hour would be 12 until 1 in this case, which for me is definitely a fine time on a Sunday evening, maybe a little bit late for other people. But if we're talking about global and we would like to do the rush hour, I would have to put an alarm at 6 a.m. to play until 7 a.m., which I'm not really going to be liking that much. Like, to be honest, I'm not a morning person. I've been going to bed more often at 6 a.m. than waking up at 6 a.m. I'm that kind of guy. So yeah, that's just one of those things that already does give you a little bit of an issue. Plus, what you also will have is the union content. Most of these games, they have like the guild battle, union battle, whatever you want to call it, between 12 and midnight. So let's just say it's, I never know if this is supposed to be PM or AM, but let's say this until this, because that makes most sense for most people, right? So that is the normal time. From the logic that we just saw, I think that this will be in Europe, if I live in Europe, it will be on 25, and therefore it's like 1 and then AM. So this is the PM to 1 AM. That makes sense. But if we add another 6 hours to that, it would look like this. That might be quite a bit of an issue, because not always can you do all of your hits. Let's say you're a early sleeper and you go to bed at like 11 p.m. or something. You have the first 4 hours to do all of your guild content. And this is just making assumptions, right? Because I have no clue how the guild content will look like. But this is just from my experience in Summoners War Sky Arena, where you have like 12 hours. But then also from my experience of being in the rank 1 guild in Summoners War Sky Arena in Europe, most of the time to get all of your hits done in the first 3-4 hours is very difficult, because you have to take things at certain timings. The timing is very important. Everyone is trying to get their hits in and those kind of things. But the biggest battle is most likely around like 2 a.m. to like maybe 3, 4, 5 a.m. And then it kind of dies off again. But this is a really horrible time to do your guild battles. And that is the thing that I've seen in Summoners War Sky Arena. You can't switch servers. So in SW, you can't switch servers. There's a lot of issues with that because there's a few people that are living in Europe playing on the global server. They don't have that much of issues as long as they make sure that they can get their hits in pretty early. And if they want to do arena, they have to wake up pretty early. It's not that bad. But if you do it the other way around, let's say I'm living in Europe and I would play on the Asia server, then you have a lot more of issues because then you would have because let's say I live in Europe and I play on Asia, or I live in global, which is pretty much just US or South, like North or South America, and I would play on Europe server, then by the assumption, it could very well be that it starts at 6 a.m. and it finishes at 6 p.m. So the 1800. So this is pretty much your whole guild content is during your work time, and that is what some of the American players have that are playing on the Europe server. They pretty much have no time to do their guild content if they just have a normal working day, which is definitely a big issue. And for that reason, and probably there's going to be added more content too, probably things we don't really foresee. The thing is, what I just kind of recommend is play the server closest to you. Simple as that. Play in your own time zone, because if you play in your own time zone, the thing we have is the day reset was 4 a.m. for me, so I guess it's like 3 a.m. UK time. If you play global, I think your reset would be then 6 hours earlier or something, or they actually have the latest reset. I'm not 100% sure about that. So yeah, that's the thing. Day reset is definitely super midnight, but I kind of like it where I don't have to stay up until like midnight and then be like, okay, at this time I'm gonna do all my dailies real quick. Actually, 3 a.m. makes it like, even for a late person or like a late night person as me, it still becomes the next day sometimes. Not always, but you get the idea. For most people, it would be that. Of course, if you're global, then your reset is also therefore a bit later or at a different time. I think people were talking about like 11 p.m. for a reset or something like that. So the biggest issue is that you could be running into union battle timing, arena reset timing, and what brings the future of more content that they bring into the game. So I've been asked by a few guilds like, hey, join us in global and we're gonna be like super tryhard, that kind of stuff. Sorry, but no, I'm going to be sitting in Europe. And not because I'm like, oh, Europe server better or anything. No, it just fits more for my time zone. They did mention, however, that still we have RTA is cross server. So you do have that part. RTA is still cross server. So the leaderboards and that is still cross server. But you have some PvE things as AnySync Echoes. Those are going to be server only, I think, or just your own server. You got the normal arena that's going to be server only, which is, as mentioned, the one that you see here on the left. Fearless Arena, I do kind of expect to still be cross server. And I did also read somewhere in the patch notes over here, I think if I search for cross, yeah, they do have a supported thing for cross-region friend adding and also private messaging. So you can still talk to your friends in that kind of sense. It's just that you can't join the same union, but you can still talk to them. Maybe you can still exchange like some monsters and stuff because you can share some monsters and those kind of things. So not 100% sure what they will do with that. But for me, I will go for the Europe server. What you will do in the end is, of course, up to you. Maybe you already started talking to friends and you already made your union together in your guild and that kind of stuff, and you do want to be playing with them. Definitely does make sense, but keep in mind that time zones might be an issue and timing might be an issue if you're in a server where you're not in the exact same time zone, or at least close to your time zone. Well, that's just a short one. Guys, thanks for watching for this one. And see you as always in the next one. Definitely on release, I'm going to be playing a lot. I still have the video on the Doki Doki Ultimate Guide and the Aurora Ultimate Guide, but I will be posting them when the game is actually live, so I have a video while being live and that kind of stuff, and then people can find me, and then that kind of stuff. I also will be streaming on YouTube for the people that are asking. I will be live on Twitch and I will be live on YouTube. I just spent the whole afternoon figuring out how live streaming multiple work, and then, well, yeah, it kind of works. I hope, I pray, I don't know. We're gonna see that tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow, noon European time. See me live, see us play, and maybe just have me on the side while you're playing yourself or something like that. I'm going to be doing a lot of rerolling, so let's see. Hopefully you're getting the units that you do want. So guys, thanks once again. See you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.